What's cracking? We back at Rosemead today. Gonna do a little product test, or whatever you want to call it, product review on my new board. This is my Cosmic Eagle graphic. I love this thing. I had one more in the past that was like a couple different colors, like blue and white, and I think it had like a little orange in it or something like that. I don't think I have it in the car right now. Yeah, this is my new colorway of this graphic. I love this board a lot. I mean, the graphic is really sick, but what I'm gonna be kind of reviewing and checking out today is shape of the board, because I don't know if you guys really know this, but I actually created the shape myself, and I'm gonna get into like a little bit of why I did it, kind of my inspiration behind it, and also just like the story behind it. I don't know if I've ever really told this story like on camera or anything like that. Yeah, today I'm gonna do that, skate it a little bit, and then I feel like I can make this a little more interesting than just doing some sort of like, I skate my board, I rate it, whatever. Like obviously it's a 10 out of 10 for me because it's my skateboard, but there's like some things I gotta prove about it. So I think it being symmetrical would be a pretty big, you know, tell if this thing actually is good to skate both ways, if I'm doing tricks on either side of the board, whether it's what I would normally use as the nose or the tail, considering it's all the same thing. Plus, to make it a little more interesting, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna snap the board too, because as some of you know and some of you don't, these boards don't really, they don't break. You can break the board, you can definitely break the top, bottom, and all the plies in between, but unlike a traditional board, it doesn't really snap to where it would touch the ground and like completely be folded in half. It's a lot harder with this board. So I'll get into talking about it a little bit, but then I'm gonna focus it, show you that the board is really focused, and then skate it. Do probably a bunch of my favorite tricks. I was gonna do a trick maintenance, but I don't think that really does the board justice. It'd be a little more fun for me, and probably a little more fun for you to watch me do the tricks that I love doing, but also doing some of the tricks that I love with my board backwards. So a couple years back, not for sure of what exact year it was, but me and Henry went to NHS and they told us that we could create our own shapes. And at the time, we kind of were just messing around with the shapes that we thought that we would just like to skate without really much reason other than that. We were both AM at the time, so we were creating what basically turned into our pro shapes. Almost certain that Henry's board now has that shape that he created. I remember it was like a pretty wide nose, and then I think the tail was like a little tapered or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but that same day, like we sat with research and development and we just basically made these boards that we were into. And my inspiration coming from this board was, I knew that Ashad always made like a symmetrical style board, and I kind of wanted to try that out myself, and I figured like, why not? The width of the skateboard is 825. Length of the skateboard is 31.8, and the wheelbase is 14.22. And I honestly did not know much about that. Like I grew up skating kind of whatever I could get my hands on. It's definitely blank skateboards for me for many years, whatever my parents could afford or whatever little money I had I would buy. Once I had the opportunity to mess with all of these kind of specifics, sat down with research and development, and they asked me the question, like, what do you want to skate? Like, what kind of boards do you like? What have you tried? What haven't you tried? What do you want to try? And it was pretty crazy because I wasn't really prepared for that question. I came to the conclusion that like, I love that Ashad has been doing this like twin shape for a couple years now, and I was always curious. I figured, let me see what like his hype is about it, because obviously if that's something that he believes in and it works for him, it's something good, because Ashad can do pretty much anything on a skateboard, and if I can mimic that sort of ability or even mimic like the equipment he's using to do that, I pretty much took my favorite skateboard at Santa Cruz, which was E-Man's 827 shape. I took the width of one side and I took the length of the other side, and I mixed the two and just made not just like a one-sided favored thing, I made it all the same. So like if the width was one thing, I made both sides of the board that width on the nose and tail, and then if the length was that of whatever side I favored, I would just do that. So it is truly like a symmetrical shape. It's not like I took two noses or two tails. I just took everything about the skateboard that I liked and just combined it. This had to be a couple of years ago, but it had sent me samples, and it was on other people's obviously it was other people's graphics. I wasn't even pro yet. What eventually became my pro shape and my pro skateboard, I created in probably 2018 or 2019. I don't even remember the year. I just know I was and I was hyped that Santa Cruz was even willing to like let me give some input to like what I wanted to skate. It was already like a blessing to be on the team and like getting to travel and doing stuff like that. This is my 825 Cosmic Eagle. All right, I'm gonna set up the camera, see how many tries it's gonna take for me to break the skateboard. I think I'm gonna go with 3 because it's like week old. I feel like it's gonna hold up pretty good, but I think I'll be able to at least crack it in 3 tries. Took me a lot more tries than I thought. I think it was like maybe like 10. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look back and see like how many it took, but it took a while. Top layer, I put it in the sun, like maybe this way. Like you can see it's super creased because it's obviously broken up top. Like that's fully, like it's broken. You can even see like the bend in it. So people are probably thinking like, the hell does that matter? Like you broke the board, you can break any board. What's the difference? The difference is like this board is like, I'm riding on it right now. It doesn't feel really any different than when I normally skate this board. The whole purpose now is like to show you the durability, because obviously it's a VX. That's like one of the main points is how strong is the skateboard. I'm gonna go and do my tricks. Periodically, I'm just gonna flip my board around. So what I usually use is my nose. I'll use as my tail and vice versa. So the only learning curve I'm gonna have really is just getting used to my trucks leaning a different way, which I'm not used to leaning. Everyone has their preference. My preference is like I lean on my heels when I skate, at least when I'm like riding or riding into tricks. If I can kind of figure out how to like skate on that, then I could showcase that this board will do tricks on either side. This is gonna be probably a pretty detailed video because I love this board. This is my baby. Shout out Santa Cruz, everyone at NHS that lets me do what I want to do and do it the way I want to do it. And it helps me just expand my creativity, my skateboarding to a new level. I'm gonna skate some flat ground for a little bit, cruise around, have like a normal-ish session, but switch my board around and skate a snap board. I'm gonna move the camera to somewhere that's like a little less confined. I feel like super claustrophobic trying to do tricks between that. Honestly, so far, I snapped this board, you can see it. It's very, very cracked. But as far as just warming up, like, I didn't really feel much of a difference. Like, maybe it flexes a little bit to prove that I can skate it both ways, or better yet, you can skate it both ways. I'm just gonna turn my board around, and I'm gonna do the same tricks, but backwards. Honestly, apart from the trucks, it feels exactly the same. Pop almost felt better reverse, and that's probably because like I've skated the sport for a little bit, so the tail is like a little worn down. Yeah, like apart from just the trucks kind of turning the way they want, which is inevitable, you can't really do much about that. It feels the same. My whole reasoning behind making this board really wasn't to like actually skate it backwards. It was just so that, say I threw down in a contest the wrong way, or I need to do a line where like my board's gonna be backwards, I wanted to be able to start with my board theoretically backwards, so that when it goes back to being forward, it's the same thing. So if I'm doing a trick off of the nose as my tail, it still feels like my tail. Or if I'm doing a trick off my tail as like the nose, it all just still feels the same. It's just more of like, once I got used to it, I can skate the board any way I want to, for that purpose of just having more limited potential to be able to like put together lines where you don't have to think so much about like, damn, if my board's backwards, how am I gonna get it back to this way or that way? It's just, the board is always the right way. I think that's a little bit of what I was getting from a shot. Thinking of how he skates and like what he prefers, like I just kind of like put myself in his shoes. Like he's just so loose at skating, wants to be not confined by the shape of his board. He's able to like maneuver it and manipulate it however he wants. He's a true master of skateboarding. Not only is he a master of his skateboard, he's like mastered what a skateboard should be for his own ability and what he wants to do with it. And I find much inspiration in that. That's why I created this. I just wanted to be able to master my skateboard in a way that's like not trying to land every trick or do every trick, but being able to maneuver my skateboard however I wanted to maneuver it, and not being confined by like the nose being different from the tail and vice versa. I could just skate the skateboard however I want to skate it and do whatever I want to do to like unlock more ability to like put different lines together without getting held back by just the shape of my board. I'm gonna go skate the bump to ledge, do things forward, backwards, whatever, so that you can see that this board really can be skated anywhere. Just had a little session on the bump to ledge. Still feeling solid. I'm honestly kind of surprised that it hasn't really cracked or anything yet, because a couple of the tries that I was doing stuff, I would land in the middle, I'd feel it flex. Not enough to really like mess me up. I'm gonna just end on the 5-stair, a couple tricks that I like to do. Today is not about doing super hard tricks, it's about how well can this board stand up and like how comfortable is it to skate. skated a little bit of everything. Skated some flat ground, skated the bumps ledges, skated the rails, skated the stairs. I think the last thing is kickflip lip the rail. I don't break it on kickflip lip. You know it's strong. You should break boards. There's like no way that a cracked board should be able to hold up. This is before I'm about to try this. That's the top. You can kind of see it in the sun. Like that's what the top's looking like. It's the bottom. It's still very, very cracked. We'll see what happens, but I'm gonna end the video here. Give this a couple tries. I got into that one kind of like a dumbass, and it definitely broke. You can see it, like, definitely broke a little more. So, fuck, I gotta do this right here. Real shit, this is scary because look, I trust this board, but this crack is like, where is it? That's the new crack I put in it from the kickflip lip. It's sketch, but I trust it. I'm gonna just try it, and whatever happens, happens. Well, it broke. It's still chilling to ride on. It has not passed every test, but that's all right. The board isn't supposed to be indestructible. It's supposed to be able to hold up for a very long time. I like that this has happened because it's real. This board is real. The technology and it's real, but it's not indestructible. And that's not what you want. I skated a board broken for an entire session that I skated a week prior to it. So really, for the average skater, the kid buying it, the board is gonna hold up for whatever situation you're in. And for me to go and purposely crack this board is a different situation. If I go set up a new one or even go back to an old one that isn't cracked, none of this is ever gonna happen. I would never crack this board on that trick. That's the end of the session, but I'm gonna go to the car, I'm gonna take the grip off, kind of so you can see how like strong this thing is, how much it holds up. And just for anyone who's out there saying, hey, the board broke, what's up with that, this thing sucks. Look, any other skateboard that's broken to that degree, like, this thing is fully, it's worked. It's fully snapped. It doesn't go down without a fight. Like, it will snap, 100%. It will break, it'll do all of that. But sure shit is not gonna break any time closer to a normal 7-ply board. All right, so I'm back in the car. Let's take this apart. I'm gonna take the grip off. I kind of want to see what's underneath it and just like how intact it is. I'm curious myself. I've never actually honestly, I've never actually broken one of these boards like this. Did it as like an exaggerated example as to how strong this is. This board continued to skate exactly the same as it did before I snapped it. Let's get this off. I've actually never really snapped one to like inspect underneath the grip. It's kind of new to me to check it out, but it is pretty interesting. I'm kind of like reviewing this with you guys. Dude, I swear, is it just me or is it always the last bolt I can never find? All right, I found it. Go get a razor blade real quick. Try to peel this back. Looked at it a little further, and you could see these little like threads. They're like what holds the board together. It's like pretty impressive for skating. For a full session, I got here maybe about 3 o'clock. It's probably about 6 o'clock now, like a full 3 hours of skating. I did some tricks that the board was definitely under some stress. Then to go skate all that and then do kickflip lip or get close to it, if I would have just stuck the first one, I think it would have been fine, but I think like repeated load on like the same weak point of the board, there's really not much you can do about that. I give credit where it's due to the board. It's stronger than any board you're really gonna skate. Besides that, listen, like, that's pretty fresh considering it's like a little razor tail. Like it's not perfect and like the nose is about the same. I love the shape. I mean, this board has a lot of technology built into it. I'm a big fan of like boards that offer a little more than just your standard, like standard shape, standard blah, blah, blah. I can assure you that this is no gimmick. I could have bullshit everybody and I could have just went to my car and switched a board after this broke on kickflip lip, but I want to be as real as I can with you about this board. I wanted to be honest because like the price point of this board is a bit higher, but what you do pay for is durability. It will break. There's no guarantee that you're not going to snap it in half, but there is a guarantee that it's going to take a lot longer than a traditional 7-ply board to snap in half. For strength, it's a 10 out of 10. This is like the strongest skateboard that I've ever skated. It's going to withstand a shit ton of skateboarding. The caveat to that is it will chip. Like it's not an unchippable board, and when it does chip, like some of the fiberglass does show a little bit, so it does like flake a little. It's a rare case, but depending on how the board hits the ground, like sometimes it will. At skate parks, pretty rare that even happens, but street spots, like you know how it goes, anything can happen. As far as the shape, I'm biased. I made the shape, so of course it's a 10 out of 10 for me. If you're into twin shapes, give it a try. Let me know what you think. Think that it's a nice marriage between the two dimensions that the nose and the tail have on E-Man's board. It works really well for me. I would love to know what you guys think. For those who are interested in trying it, check it out, nhsskatedirect.com. That's where you get it now. It's no longer the NHS Fun Factory. I'll leave a link in the description of this board along with some of my previous graphics that all have this exact same shape and construction. Unfortunately, this is only in an 825. If you're an 825, that's dope. If not, I'm sorry. Bug them, call Santa Cruz, tell them to make my board and all of my friends' boards in different sizes, and if there's enough of a demand, they'll do it. Final thoughts, I love this skateboard. It's a dream to have this skateboard, especially with my name on it, with exactly how I want it to make it work for me the way I do. I get stoked when I hear you guys hitting me up on Instagram, on YouTube, on everything, telling me that you love my board, you only skate my board, or that you're interested. And even if there's criticism like about my board, I would love to hear it because I want to make stuff that is functional and dope. Either way, I want to hear from you. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you get a chance to try it. Until next time, peace.